Hello and welcome to the next edition of The Portal, a doorway that takes you into the latest happenings around the world of technology, leadership and business. Well, today we have with us Ms. Sridevi Vadapalli. Thanks, Sridevi, for coming here. Sridevi is a chief data scientist at Daimler Truck Innovation Center, India. She is a data science leader with 22 plus years of experience and very rich experience across BFSI, retail, CPG, manufacturing, and now, of course, with Daimler, the automotive industry, driving end-to-end AI and analytics transformation. Her expertise spans across machine learning, generative AI, NLP, predictive analytics, and all the use cases that we hear about, right, which is the order of the day today. Churn, forecasting, pricing, predictive maintenance, all those 9 yards what an AI engineer or a data scientist leader actually builds and provides solution for. She's a recognized thought leader and also a keynote speaker at global forums, including the Indian Institute of Science, IITs, IIT Kanpur, Tesco, Dunhambai, Westpac, Australia, Daimler Trucks, of course, NASSCOM COE, a woman in AI, to her credit, and of course MLDS 2025. A lot of credentials, and all the listeners, you're in for a treat because you're going to get some very good insights. The theme for us today is building a future-ready workforce in the age of AI. So what we'll do is we'll first begin, Sridevi, if you would like to, we'd like to welcome you. If you'd like to kind of also introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll get going.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure talking to you. While I share my knowledge, I also look forward to hearing insights from you through this conversation.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So one of the first questions, Sridevi, is the whole AI journey, right, from data science to classical AI piece to generative AI, now agentic AI. Across, if you could kind of share your perspective as to how the technology has evolved, right, in the last 2 decades, and of course it's been much more before AI has been there, but would like to hear from you.
Sure. Let me give the good side of how this evolution looks like, right? So earlier we were with data science kind of solutions, we were trying to look at solving one problem, one question, and trying to have one solution to it. It could be like, tell me who's going to churn, and then I would have a solution to it. Who is going to default, you would have a solution for it.
Right.
But as evolution happened in the technology, we came to, and if you realize it was very structured, data-oriented kind of way of working earlier. And then when LLMs started to come into play, people started to understand that unstructured forms of data had a lot of information they could leverage as well. So, but it still had one query, one answer, right? And then when agentic solutions started to come in, now the game has changed. It's no longer one question, one problem. You have an agentic ecosystem where multiple things are happening simultaneously. Multiple decisions are being done in the system, and you're trying to make a larger solution happen. It's not one problem, one solution anymore. It's multiple agents making multiple decisions and running a whole ecosystem.
Awesome.
So that's the evolution that has happened. But I also want to bring into light what happened in this process, and this has happened very without people noticing it too much. And that is, earlier there was tremendous focus on explainability of the problem.
Right.
And as time passed and when people started to familiarize themselves with this whole generative AI and LLMs and now agentic, people have stopped asking this question of explainability. If you I don't know if you realize that there was a time when they said, no, this doesn't explain, black box models cannot be used. There were audits being done for people to have decision making, and if you decline somebody's loan using an AI model, you had to explain why you had to decline, right? But over the last few years, when generative AI and agentic has come into play, I think somehow everybody's just accepted the
A kind of blind faith now.
yeah, absolutely. And it has gone to the other extreme maybe sometimes that you just
Yeah,
trust it too
yeah,
much
yeah.
and you're not questioning whether it's right or wrong,
Right.
factual or non-factual.
Right.
But that is the surprising evolution I see alongside as well.
Awesome, awesome. That's a great insight. Uh, you know, as with your rich experience, Sridevi, across services companies, consulting companies, and of course now the GCCs, how do you see the demand for talent across these? Is it very different? And I'm sure there is a lot of them is still evolving, but the kind of talent that they look for in the context of talent for AI systems, do you see what difference do you see?
There are some subtle nuances that are changing across. So while services still look at, focus is providing resource and services of that kind. They're also trying to bring value addition of, pre-built integration concepts and things like that to be able to help businesses not just do service oriented like staff augmentation, but they're also trying to add value through some kind of a products or semi-products, if I would say, frameworks of that kind. So there's also a little bit in terms of, they're also focusing on bringing these large, so they hire the maximum freshers in this country, right? They hire, but there is a tremendous amount of focus I see on them training these people for the new tech.
Right.
That focus exists on the services side.
Right.
With consulting, I don't know if you've heard this new terminology that has come in consulting. It's called forward deployed engineering.
FDEs, yeah.
I think this is what the consulting teams are focusing on, because they want to capture the speed. Right. So you deploy somebody for 6-10 weeks, build something prototype which is working, and that's like the wow that they're the speed at which you build agents now and deploy. Right. So the FDE is where I see consulting is very, very focused right now. However, consulting folks do know that with the speed in this industry or the race to put agents into production, there is a gap that is coming up, which is the change management in the organization and the governance, which is getting missed, in this whole speed. So consulting is also trying to capture those two areas in terms of driving organization change management and bringing governance into place while this FD model works.
Yeah. No, because FD, what they're saying is it is about the last mile connectivity, right? You have an AI system, you have a product, or you have a SaaS-based solution, but in real world, how do you implement it, right? Because there is real legacy, there's a lot of integration. So
you make it work in their ecosystem.
In their ecosystem, right? In their environment.
So it's not like you build a standalone solution and put it up there, but you have your folks sit down with them, build in their ecosystem and show what's the art of the possible.
And that's what you're saying, that's not alone, that alone is not enough, because you need a entire governance change. But I'm not sure if many people are thinking about it, right?
I see that people are recognizing that this is a gap area.
Got it.
So they have to.
Got it.
But with GCCs, the story is changing, right? If you recall, I think way back GCC started with cost arbitrage.
Arbitrage, yeah.
No longer people talk about cost arbitrage. It moved from cost arbitrage to probably the scale that they can provide as a captive center. However, now the recent most evolution, and I really am happy about how GCCs are evolving, is they're now becoming the global centers. They're also becoming the innovation centers.
Yeah, the Indian centers. Yeah.
Yes. So that nuance, I think, is the path that GCCs are taking.
Right. But do you see kind of a talent shortage, given that there is nothing right or wrong here? Services had its own set of mindset, right? It is more of a project management than a productized service, right? But in the talent, in the ecosystem, right? The talent ecosystem, you have experienced people who have actually worked in the services kind of a mindset. But they want to come here and they have to take the role of product owners or architects. Do you see a challenge, because they really have to ramp up? It's no longer staff augmentation, right? They have to be seen as by the headquarters, right? Where whichever company they're part of, they have to be seen as adding value. Do you see some kind of a gap, or
In the GCC space,
given the multiple GCCs coming up, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that? Because if you have to position themselves, they really have to have that skill from a good architects, designers, product thinking.
correct. So there are two things that I observe. This product mindset is one essential part, because in GCC it's not about just delivery excellence anymore.
Right.
It's about thinking more from a product perspective.
Right.
Can I build, and since we are talking about AI, I am making this point that can I look at having AI based products now, right? So that is a key part they
Right,
have to think.
right.
The second is you have to re-look at processes. I mean, the one part that I feel we should all, the GCC mindset is changing also, and that should be the area also we focus on, is instead of looking at, can I solve this problem, can I solve this problem, re-look at the process, the business process, right? Can I reinvent? So the innovation part is now being the gap that I see. Like we need to bring that.
Bring that up. Now, across, if you look at AI skilling, everybody today, all of us want to learn more and more of AI because that is the trend, that is the technology of the future. But if you see, there are functional roles, there are semi-technical roles, like the product management kind of roles, and there are core tech roles, right? In core tech, of course, there are the software developers, and enterprise people who have built, who have architected solutions, but more from an application perspective. And there are the core data scientists, right, who are now becoming kind of upskilling themselves to AI engineers. So let's take the first one. Let's take the functional roles, right? So for them, what does it mean for them to because there are a lot of people watching our podcast, maybe coming from the functional roles. If you look at HR, finance, right, legal, all the supporting in a typical, let's say, enterprise. But there are core people like financial consultants, right? How, if for them, what does an AI journey look like for anybody who's on a functional role?
One is how do they increase their own productivity using AI?
Right.
Can I summarize a contractual document using AI and understand are there risk elements in this contract which I should be aware of, for example? So be more conscious about how you would like to use AI in your day-to-day work, increase your productivity. That's one aspect of it. But the functional folks can also be looking at AI in reshaping their own business work that they do, right? If I'm doing something manually today, just for example, the most basic thing that comes to my mind is I'm screening profiles for, from a recruitment point of view. And this is being done manually, assume. Can I bring in AI in doing this job?
Right.
Can I have AI tell me how this profile fits the JD that I have, put out there? So this will help you speed up your process. I'm not saying don't remove the human element of it. Human element is very, very crucial in every angle of it. But increase or rethink the way you work in your business work. So some of these aspects is what I think the functional folks can do better than a techie telling them what to do.
Right. Because I was speaking to one of the leaders in the manufacturing side, and their problem statement was that in the manufacturing domain, if you bring in from outside data scientists, right, they lose their relevance. They have information about all the models, all the nitty-gritties of the technology. So they took the other route, that is taking their engineers who are working on those problems hardcore on shop floor and taking few of them and then skilling them on the analytics, on deep data science, prediction, and I guess then they're able to match the use cases, right? So I think that jugalbandi is
the two in a box. I really like that idea, like bring two experts and I'm sure they can do wonders.
Yeah. From a software development scenario, right? Today vibe coding is very popular and I know there are dangers that everybody can become an expert or a pseudo expert or whatever you call it. What challenges do you see there, or what advantages do you see there with the whole vibe coding coming into the picture today?
It's a very interesting concept called vibe coding. I don't know why they call it vibe coding either. I would love to know that. But vibe coding is giving you a jump start. instead of you writing the line of code, from scratch, it's helping you with a logic written as a code at a much faster pace than what you would have done.
Right.
However, the point that is a concern in the industry today is whatever the wipe code writes is not deployment ready.
Yeah.
Right? You can do it for the speed or the jump start, but if you take the same wipe code and put it in production, then you're opening a Pandora's box.
Right. Right.
You have security vulnerabilities. You have edge cases which wipe code does not consider. So it's the developer's job to still, while he's using wipe code or building code through LLMs, it still needs the developer to check for the thoroughness of the logic, the edge case scenarios, the securities, the access controls.
Right.
All of this is still a part of some developer's job, and it's not like you take a wipe code, lift and shift and put in production. Right? It's not that simple, if you ask me.
Right. Now with agentic systems coming in, what is the difference that you see now? Because everybody is now building enterprise grade applications which have the cognitive layer, right, cognitive services. So the thought process here is that earlier, let's say 3 years back, if you say that somebody has to become an AI expert, they will start with statistics, right? Exploratory data analysis, go through the linear regression, logistic, all the machine learning, deep learning, right? And that was, there was no second thought on that, right? But today with applied AI, with generative AI, LLMs, right? I mean, one can straight jump into building those, let's say, automation agents, right? So maybe I have a very brief overview of the grassroots fundamentals. So with this shift, what are the challenges do you see? Because does it mean that the core data science knowledge is okay because I'm just applying it, so I should be more focused on my application development versus, but the foundational, will it come and bite me later on if I don't know that? What is your thought?
Yeah, I'll start with the example of, I don't know if you read about this, that Ford built AI quality system, agentic, I think, and then they had to recall all the engineers, right? So you can use AI for a lot of productivity enhancement and helping people do things faster in their day.
Right.
But will it replace many humans' job that exist in the ecosystem? Not necessarily. The primary reason, and to the point that you were making about the data science element, the statistical element of it, come to think of it, all LLMs are large statistical machines, right? They are doing token prediction, as you all know. But if I were to design a solution or a system for safety concerns, there are hundreds of edge cases that you'll have to keep in mind, especially for a sensitive area like, say, safety, or sensitive aspects, for example, on legal matters, right? So it's not possible to just build an agent system like a software. Right? There are nuances that come into play which need an expert to sit down and do that thoroughly in terms of, have I missed this edge case? What should I do? Should I go back, redo my chunking strategy? Should I go back, look at the stringency that I would like to have in my retrieval? So a lot of these nuances are not to be ignored, especially when the outcome has, a cost of failure defined to it.
That's
right? So you'll have to look, and the also other problem that I'm seeing in the industry today with software development life cycle being used for agentic development is, people are forgetting the concept of first principles. If I can actually solve something using simpler methods, I shouldn't be using an LLM or an agentic system. I would rather do it in the using the concepts of first principles. So you don't need to over-engineer everything that you're trying to solve for just because there is a tool out there that can make your life easy. So it's important to go through the thoroughness, ask those questions which are fundamental, ask questions like, do I really need agentic here? Do I really need to use LLM here? do I, what is the cost of the failure that I have in this?
Got it.
And then define your solution in terms of, what steps do I take now to solve these problems after you've asked these fundamental questions.
Right, right. Now, like you said, with the speed at which technology is moving, the expectation is that people also scale up to that very quickly, right? But in real world, I mean, humans have their own learning curve.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked with a lot of engineers, I'm sure. So, I mean, what would be your advice to the people, right? To have that patience, to go through that rigor, and build that expertise, because there is no such thing as right. I mean, you put a button, press a button, and you're kind of skilled.
Yeah.
So, should they go through that rigor, or are there other ways to really become relevant in this space?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah, so there are two things. One is, while speed matters, I mean, you can't go back and start from, say, statistics.
Yeah.
Because then you're not able to catch up with the speed that the market expects you to do. I always suggest, while you're learning the nuances, while you're doing the experiments to learn things, ask yourself why.
Right.
And go back to the root of, how does this work? What is the mathematical stuff that is happening behind in each of these methods that you're applying, right? Learn the fundamentals alongside the new tech that you're doing. That way, you will be able to understand the nuances behind it, and then it will also help you learn where does this not work because of this kind of a fundamental concept that it's built on, right? Those nuances will make you a better developer, a person who knows when to apply and when not to apply these
Absolutely, absolutely. So well said. Because I still remember, way back, I started my journey with Infosys, and we used to have a curriculum for freshers, which was more foundational, right? Where we're teaching programming principles, right? Where irrespective of you use Java, C, C++, you're teaching analysis of algorithms, right? So those basics, those foundational concepts is something people will have to revisit, so that they develop that critical thinking as to when to apply what. Because otherwise, today the order of the day is you come in, you learn about maybe the embedding chunking strategy, okay, high level what it is, you learn about transformers, vector databases, then straight jumped into open source land chain, land graph, right? Build an agent and you're done, because that's how it is, right? It's very objective. You learn a language, you just go implement and your work is done. But that has to change now, right? Like you're saying, because there has to be more deep tech. So moving from there, see, there is a large audience who are freshers, okay, who are just starting their journey. So I can be a computer science engineer, electronics engineer coming out of college. Everybody has an aspiration to do well and to learn AI. What would be your suggestion to them as to how do they just have to go with the flow that, okay, I do this course, I do that course, I do a, okay, Anthropic is providing the certification, I just go and do that. Maybe all that is good, but on top of it, what should they focus on?
Learning and certification is a part of how they, the corporate world works anyway. But I think bring that knowledge or the fundamentals right, then your knowledge is sustainable in the long run. Because what happens is, if your fundamentals are strong, tomorrow something else will come as an evolution to the agentic ecosystem. You will be able to catch up faster, primarily because your fundamentals are very strong, right? You know how transformers works, what goes wrong with transformers, what goes right with transformers. You know when to use what, right? You know which embedding gives you better results. You know which chunking strategy should be applied when. You then start to also bring the element of the underlying foundational aspects of cost, right, for data. Can I come up with a solution architecture which is going to help save costs for the company? Then your value addition is higher. People recognize your contribution is just beyond building that solution, right? Am I coming up with a way where token cost is reduced while I'm still delivering higher accuracy results? So the more you try to understand other aspects involving just the solution building, the more you're able to contribute from a value addition standpoint.
That's right. That is more of a holistic approach, right? And we also see that if you look at any of the tools today, right? If I'm building agentic systems, let's say I'm using Claude or I'm using Microsoft Copilot, eventually the tools are also evolving, right?
Yes.
And sometimes they're disrupting themselves. So which means whatever I have built, right, may not work, or there are new use cases, right? So from a complete productivity perspective, the other thing that adds up is, like you said, the token cost, right,
Yeah.
which goes through the roof, and on top of it, you got to have human in the loop. Then you want to step back and to say, then why do I need all this, right? I might as well, do it the traditional way. So obviously that may not the answer, but given this iteration that the industry is going through, what do you see as eventually how enterprises can, really gain the value, gain productivity? Because right now that is still, they still don't see it right away, correct? Because from a POC to a scale, they don't see productivity. Many
Yeah.
projects are not yet reached there because of these challenges, right?
Yeah.
Tools getting in, the cost. So what is your view from a pure tech perspective, right? How tech is evolving? Do you see that problem getting solved eventually, or what is it that the kind of skills that people have to learn to handle that?
I think the token cost is that problem is going to persist for a while. I think there's also talk of increasing token cost, and that's why some of the solutions don't even go to production. Yeah. So always look at ROI.
Yeah.
Right. Of, would you spend $100,000 to do a solution that is worth $150,000? Then maybe not. Right.
Yeah.
ROI is important
Right,
to gauge. You also would, I think industry is tending towards, if token costs are going to go high, what are the alternates, right? So I'm sure there is those NVIDIA solutions that are coming up, which are going to speed up things. Claude is also talking about reduced token cost in some of its newer solutions, that LLMs that they're giving. They claim they're efficient, but eventually I think industry will start to find things which will negate some of these costs.
Some of these, yeah.
So they might come up and say, okay, I'll train my own SLM.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So nobody stops, then everything is in your control, your data sovereignty is there, and you then, of course, you will spend skills that are needed to build such an SLMs in your organization, right? So if people are trying to make a career in this, you need to continuously understand where the industry is changing.
Yeah.
So if you have to understand the nuances of fine-tuning an SLM, right? You can learn those skills, because maybe that's the demand that's coming up in the future, given that the token costs keep rising.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an evolving landscape, right? That's what makes it so much, interesting. You have handled large teams, Sridevi. So in your journey, what do you see as the relevance or the kind of the professional skills, the soft skills, right, which should go hand in hand along with people building their technical capability as they have to drive innovation, as they have to bring value? What are some of those skills which you see which is very, very important, as people rise up, especially in this, which is more, especially now that we are in the, AI journey?
Yeah. One thing that always comes to my mind is, translating that business problem to a technical one.
Right.
What do you want to solve for? Because if there is a question that business is saying, this is my pain point in the work that they do, you have to get to the nuances and try to solve for the right thing.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Don't build a solution for the sake of building, but get into the details, be meticulous about what are you trying to solve for. Translate that business problem into a technical one the right way. Half your battle is won when you do this right. And then, of course, you can always do the solution.
So which means the stakeholder communication, interaction, systems
Ask the right
thinking,
questions.
Asking the right questions.
Yes.
Yeah, because most of the times I've seen, if there is a call, there is a business analyst there, or the client there, if a technical person opens the Jupyter notebook and starts showing, then people lose the context, right? Because so they understanding the business is so relevant.
Also, while I think people are junior, I think when I look back at my journey when I was younger as well, when I started the development work, there's some sort of a fear in asking questions, you know.
Right.
But it's good when you're building a solution to ask the business and say, okay, you want to do this solution, but why? How much do you think you will save by doing this automation or through AI, right? Where do you see the risk? What if something, okay, if AI predicts something wrong, what is the cost that business will incur on that one wrong prediction? Ask these fundamental questions. Right. If you ask this, then you will build a better solution.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, technology is important, but these are all the adjacencies of the technology, right? Because, and that is why, you know, we see more need of leaders like you, right? Who can give that vision and mentor the next layer, because today that is so important, right?
Absolutely.
Like the rudder of a ship, it will, you know, determine how the direction of, it will determine the direction of the ship. So directionally, it's so important. The reason I'm saying is, we just want to, if you could help us throw lights on, everybody is getting overwhelmed today, right? So the question is, like you said, there is an actual industry problem that has to be solved, right? That's a holistic thinking. Now also you're not expecting everybody to just go start from scratch and do, because that's not feasible, right? On the fly you have to also learn the concepts. So how do people start, you know? That is where we, as you know, part of our skill transformation, a lot of people come to us, okay, tell me where to start, right? So is this the right question itself, you know? Sometimes, you know, yes, yeah, AI can teach you, AI can become your own tutor. Why don't you ask that question to AI, right? What have you seen in your experience, people who have kind of jumped that curve, right? I mean, who have really made that leap. They may not have had that knowledge, but they kind of worked through, and now today they have that you know, depth, and they're able to add value. So, you know, just your thoughts on how people can overcome this, right? Where to start?
Yeah, it's overwhelming even for people like me, right? In the industry, suddenly every Saturday something new is being launched, and it's like, oh, have you seen it? I'm like, no, let me breathe. You know, so I think it's overwhelming for everybody. But I would say, you know, that what's happening in the industry, a lot of it may feel too much, sometimes chaotic, but for somebody to learn or get onto the AI journey, you know, while all that is happening, you know, I don't know what those horse wears blinds. Just stay focused of what you want to do.
Yeah.
First thing is be aware of what is AI, how start with fundamentals of, I'm not saying start with stats. I mean, if you're wanting to be deep tech, then start with stats.
Right.
But if you're wanting to be a person with good knowledge of AI in your current role itself, then be aware of AI. Start to use it. The more you'll start to adopt it step by step in your day job, the more that fear comes down about what this technology is about, right? And then try to look at reshaping things in your own work areas with AI. The more hands-on you do, the more you will learn. That's,
Got it.
I think the best way to learn is to get your hands dirty, do things. It's okay to fail.
Right.
It's okay to fail, and that when you're failing, you're learning a lot. Keep that in mind.
Amazing. Any stories, any examples of people, I mean, without naming person that you have seen, you know, that'll give inspiration to people, right? I mean, in a short time, they were from a different background, but today, any incidences which you can recall of people that you have, you know, really, probably they were like semi-technical from a AI perspective, but right?
It's hard to say one such instance like that, but I've seen a lot of data science folks that I work with. You know, you give them a challenging problem statement and you say, you know, this has been a tough one. That challenge makes them pick it up and then say, you know, let me burn some midnight oil, but let me see what I can do to solve this. Right? So that's a very inspiring thing to see around you.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you for all those insights. Is there any one last message for people, how, if everybody's question is, how can I be relevant? Is there one? I know you put in a lot of already, great insights from you, but any last message for our audience before we close?
I would say, one thought that comes to mind: don't compare your careers with anybody's. Take your own pace, but focus on continuous learning.
Yeah.
You will do well in life.
Right. And I said build that on a foundation. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sridevi. That was an amazing podcast. I learned a lot today. Thanks. Well, with this, we come to an end of this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode with a lot more insights on the happenings in the industry.